Hello and good afternoon. Thank you all for tuning in with us today. Today is another special episode of our Alumni Virtual Engagement Series. My name is Kelly Pfeiffer, and I am the Vice President of Marketing, Communications, and Advancement here at Manor College and host of these Alumni Virtual Engagement Series. This is a monthly video series where we sit down and talk with a Manor College alumni to hear about their experience as a Manor student and what life has been like since graduating or transferring. Today, we are talking to alumni from the class of 2012, Meredith McGann. Meredith grew up in Yardley, PA, graduating high school from Notre Dame High School in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. Meredith enrolled in Manor College, working towards her associate in science degree in veterinary technology because she had a love for animals and grew up with many dogs, rabbits, chickens, and frogs. Since graduation, Meredith is currently a senior surgical technician and surgical coordinator at Newtown Veterinary Hospital. Welcome, Meredith. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yes, us too. So if you don't mind starting us off by why did you choose Manor? How did you hear about our veterinary technology program, and what kind of made you make that decision? I'm going to go here for this degree.
So it really was a pretty easy decision on my part. I really loved animals. As you said, I grew up with lots of dogs, and I had chickens and rabbits and turtles and fish and all the stuff that my parents loved. And I was planning on actually going to a college in like Florida. That actually was my plan when I started high school. I unfortunately had a major life event where I got really sick, and I needed, to take like a really easy 2 years, my junior year of high school into senior year. And so because of that reason, I wasn't able to go and tour colleges like all the seniors in my class would, or I wouldn't actually be able to do all those fun things that people would do with their parents, to decide on like what to do for college. And so I really had my mom kind of help me on this a little bit. It's something I couldn't do by myself. And we decided on Delaware Valley, and we decided on Manor and Harcum College. But all were local, all were reasonable, and all, definitely had what they needed to offer for me to succeed in my dream of whether it was becoming a veterinarian or whether becoming a vet tech nurse. And we did an interview with Manor College, and I was extremely excited, and we went to visit in-person interview with the director, and she was super nice at the time and just very much involved with the veterinary world. And I was just so mesmerized by that whole thing. And so from that interview, we decided to apply fully. And later in the months to come, I was accepted in this very, rigorous program of the veterinary technology at Manor. And it was so exciting. And I knew it was going to be hard. And it was honestly, I could have not thought of a better fit for myself at that time. So that is the reason I went there.
That's great. It's great to hear that. Obviously you had some pretty significant challenges in high school, and that, Manor might not have been what you were thinking you were going to do. You thought you're going to go out of state and, bigger college dreams. But here, looking back, you were able to still go somewhere and get an education and an experience that sets you up for what you want to do in the future. So I think it's a beautiful kind of ending to your college career. So obviously you're passionate about animals. We have quite a few vet techs on campus. This is not an uncommon statement around here. Why be a vet tech, and what about the career were you at that time when maybe you were like a freshman in the program? What were you most excited and eager for? And kind of what was your perception of the industry at that point?
So the only part of the industry I knew of was really me going with my mom to take our animals to the vet, which was very infrequent. So I hate to say that, but my mom did their vaccines at home. So we really only took them when they were sick.
Right.
And so I really knew very minimal of what the veterinary technology world was like and kind of the different avenues of veterinary medicine in general,
Right.
and I really was like pretty much leaning towards becoming a veterinarian when I was accepted to the program. I wanted to
Hmm.
start as a tech, get some experience behind my belt, and then go on and apply to vet school. That kind of was my game plan that I went in. And I guess the one thing that I'm like was really excited about was learning like what I could do as a person and as a nurse to help progress and promote veterinary, the veterinary world and what I could do to impact on that, on the dog and the
Hmm.
animals, whether it was shelter medicine, whether it was working in the ER, whether it
Hmm.
was working for insurance, whether it was
Hmm.
working for pharmacology, any of those type of things. And all of that I learned while being at school. And I was like, I didn't realize there was so much more to veterinary technology than I originally thought. I thought it was, oh, you just like, you're a nurse and you give meds and stuff. And learning the physiology of diseases, learning that you can specialize as a veterinary technician. All those things were so exciting to me. You could be a manager in a veterinary hospital. And I just didn't realize how many different avenues were out of veterinary technology and all the things that I could do. And
Hmm.
that's what really got me excited once I
Hmm.
started taking my classes, doing anatomy and physiology, which was my favorite class as a freshman.
Hmm.
Um, and then doing animal medicine, which was probably, and pharmacology, were my two favorite classes as a sophomore.
Hmm.
So it was really just exciting of like, I kind of didn't know, like I had a plan of going to be a veterinarian, but then it kind of changed where like I could stay at tech and do something very impactful. And that to me was
Hmm.
really exciting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool when college students come in and they go, okay, I want to be this one thing. And then as they go throughout their studies and they realize,
Mhm.
oh, like there's so many more opportunities, like you said,
Yeah.
specialties, just it's a lot broader than,
Yeah.
maybe someone's like, I'm going to be a journalist, but then you're a communications major and you realize, oh my gosh, I can do so many more things with communications.
Yeah.
We interviewed Alicia Carr, another fellow vet tech, um, alumni a few months ago, and she said almost the exact same thing you just said. I never
Yeah.
realized how many opportunities and specialties there were until I started
Yeah.
working in the industry. I think that's really important for our students to know now, to just know that, there's so much out there, and
Yeah.
it's not really just one lane. There's so many
Yeah.
different avenues you can go. So that's really encouraging to hear that's what you found and continue
Yeah.
to find. So Meredith, tell me a little about your Manor experience. Were you involved in any clubs? What was life like as a student for you?
So life like as a student for me, I wish I could say I was part of a lot of things at Manor, but I actually, interestingly enough, was a competitive athlete still at my
Mm.
freshman year of college. I was pretty sorry, there's a fly in my room, so I'm just trying to get away.
Sorry.
Um, so I actually am a synchronized swimmer, and I was
Wow.
pretty young for my graduating class in high school. I was only 17. So technically, the club team that I belonged to, called the Pennsbury Falconets, I actually could swim another year. So for the first year while being in school, I was actually competing at championships and nationals and all that kind of stuff with my club
Wow.
team. So I wasn't really as much involved, and because I wanted to join, the team that takes care of the horses,
Hmm.
and I just knew like the way my practice schedule was, the way my school schedule was, I wasn't able to accommodate that. And I was kind of a little bummed, but I loved synchronized swimming so much as a young teenager. I was like, I just want to do it again. So
Mm.
I ended up doing it. And then I ended up the second year, my sophomore year, coaching that exact team and coaching my
Gotcha.
fellow teammates too. At that time when my coach was not at her best health wise. So
Mm.
she needed the extra help. I kind of helped her with that. So I did belong to like what kind of club was it? I belonged to like the Phi Theta Kappa
Hmm.
Honor Society.
Hmm.
And I really I did everything I can as far as like extracurriculars to try to like
Yeah.
help with like whether it was helping with the stray cats coming in for surgery or like doing that kind of minimal stuff, but I really
Hmm.
wasn't I didn't really do sport at Manor. I didn't really spend a lot of time. I really just went to class and would come home, and I commuted from school. So I didn't live on campus. So I kind of was in the car half the time that I was there. But I really want to say that I really stuck with the sport that I fell in love with when I was 9 years old, and I competed, and then I started coaching again, my certifications for coaching. Not knowing that I was, even till this day, 8 years later, I was still coaching the same team that I love. And we have a whole new brand of girls. And it's honestly something I never saw myself doing. Like I said, I was supposed to go to Florida. I wanted to go to Florida. But I really wanted, it's interesting how things work out. I really was not, I was amazed at where I am today, and that, I'm doing the sport that I love and coaching with the girls of the team. And it's really just exciting.
That's awesome. How unique too. Synchronized swimming. You don't hear that one every day as the sport of choice, but it's so cool to hear that that's something that you were passionate about and you're able to do it in college and continue to do it while working. Really, really cool. That's awesome. I'm always like, how do they hold their breath? That's always what I think of. How do you hold your breath? That looks impossible to me. But great. So Meredith, tell us, what was it like going from college student to actually working in the field, and how did you feel prepared to do that as a transition?
Hold on one second. Oh, what?
Sure.
I see Baka. Yeah, thank you. I'm so sorry. My fiance keeps interrupting me.
It's fine.
Sorry, everybody.
It's fine.
So honestly, the transition from becoming a student to an actual employee at a hospital was, honestly, to be very frank, it was terrifying. I felt very underprepared, like, as emotionally, not knowledge based. I had all the tools I needed to, to start. And I think for me, it was just that because I had a lack of experience, I just really kind of didn't know emotionally how I was going to handle this huge change and impact in my life. So I, when I first started at my first week at Group for Levittown, it was exciting, but terrifying. There's a lot of people I didn't know. I'm a very personable person. So I like to really get to know somebody pretty decently before I start letting them into kind of who I am. And I've always been like that. And there's no shame of that. I'm very much like, this is me. So I, it took me a little bit to get comfortable, but I had everything I needed. Manor really prepared me knowledge based, everything as emergencies were coming in. This dog has, diabetic ketoacidosis. This dog is having seizures. This cat is hypoglycemic. All of it was connecting, and it was connecting in my head the weirdest way. It was all just all the pieces. It all made sense. Everything learning in school was happening in front of my eyes, and I picked up on it so quickly. And I really had Manor to think about that. Because I really was emotionally very unsure. I'm like, I'm not sure if specialty is where I'm supposed to be, but why not? I'll give it a try. And, I started, because I knew so much from Manor's courses and classes, I felt very much prepared knowledge base wise, for sure. I think my only, and I don't know if everybody in the classes now do this too, but I would definitely recommend, if you could work a part-time job somewhere, I probably would do it. I feel like it does kind of help you connect those pieces a little faster, and maybe not feel as what I did, very terrified going into the workplace. And also, it was honestly my real first job too. So, growing up, I didn't have a lot of that opportunity because I was at hospitals getting better and treatment for my sickness. And so I kind of missed out on that, people lifeguarded, people bartended, people, were working in restaurants. And so I really didn't have any work experience. So that was kind of my personal downfall. But I do encourage that if you guys have the capability of doing a part-time job at your local vet
Mm-hmm.
clinic or a shelter, I do think it's a great idea. And I do think that if I did that, I probably wouldn't have felt as terrified as I did back then.
Right, right. That makes perfect sense. And actually, I know there's a stat that we say pretty often around here, and it's over 85% of our student body, so not just vet techs, but all of our students, over
Yeah.
85% work while in school. And that
Yeah.
could be, they're Uber drivers or they're working retail or in a restaurant or something. But I do know that the percentage of our students who work is very high. And every year
Yeah.
it seems to be growing a few more percentages.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So I'm sure that experience is hopefully helping students transition, taking the textbook knowledge, taking the real life
Yeah.
experience, and making them more comfortable in their, workplace jobs. Well, Meredith, as we kind of wrap up here, what advice would you give to our current vet tech students who are either coming in as freshmen for the first time and they're, super nervous, or coming back as sophomores? And in the summer right now, we have a lot of students who are finishing their externships and they're ready
Yeah.
to go out in the real world. What advice would you have for them as they're kind of navigating their own college experiences?
I think the one thing I'll say, and I always stick by this because I even tell this to the externships that come into Newtown Vet. We're having 2 come in at the end of the month, which is super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
That no, like, don't be afraid to ask a question. I know it's a
Mm-hmm.
very broad statement, but I gotta say that, I learned the hard way and not asking questions. And it's because I would always kind of get in my head. And I think it's easy to do, especially when you're learning something new and you're just not sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think, like, my piece of advice would be no question's a stupid question. Answer anything. The people, not only your professors or alumni or
Mm-hmm.
the people helping you with your externship, they want you to succeed and they want the best for you, and they want you to be a part of this amazing career in veterinary technology and in the veterinary medicine in general. I mean, I've come to meet so many different people, and I just think, like, ask so many questions. I mean, we're
Mm-hmm.
always there to progress you guys and to progress you guys as a person and as a technician. And that's why I do what I do. I love having extern students
Mm-hmm.
come in here and they're nervous. I'm like, don't be nervous. It's okay.
Right,
Like,
right,
like,
right.
I'm here
Being
to
that
answer all
friendly
your
face.
questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think it can be really intimidating for people that are in the field longer. Yeah. Like, they get kind of in, like, their routine and they may not be as forthcoming, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely I think it's changing. Like, we're all here. We all started the same way.
Right.
And I think just, like, ask away, ask
Mm-hmm.
questions. If you sound silly, you sound silly, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's no wrong answer, because that's what we're here for. We want to
Mm-hmm.
share our experience with
Mm-hmm.
them and, the future, because they are the future for
Mm-hmm.
us. So it's all very exciting. And like I said, don't be afraid to ask any questions. I think that is the best piece of advice that I wish I got more often as a student.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. So I really preach that
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
Yeah, that's great. It's classic advice, but it's classic for a reason, I mean,
Yeah.
it's timeless, I would say. And what
Yeah.
I really love what you said is that you want your externs to succeed. You want them to
Yeah.
do well. And I think that's the exact same sentiment we feel here at the college, is that we want our students to succeed. So whether they are asking questions in a classroom or they're asking questions about how do I pay a bill or how do I get involved in a club, we want them to
Yeah.
succeed. So
Yeah.
don't, be sitting there and going through it in your head and wondering, confused. Ask someone and we will do what we can
Yeah.
to help you. So
Yeah.
thank you, Meredith, so much. It was great talking to you, and we're always here for you. So I wish you nothing but the best in the future, and please have a great rest of your summer.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Yes. Thank you.